Greetings, everyone.
I'm back, baby.
It's Jake Ciely.
I'm great. Everybody else sucks.
Oh,
no. It's every nightmare I've ever had.
Excuse me?
It's time to check the link.
Pretty crazy, huh? But it doesn't matter because none of this has anything to do with the show.
you know what? You just made the list.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time. Really? No.
What's up, you dogs? It's week 10. Double digits. Week 10 of the fantasy football season. All in football with stepmom Lauren wearing her avocado t-shirt. I actually thought at first when you said it and I didn't see it, I thought you were saying avocado. Like,
Yeah.
if you've never seen. No. Avocado with a C
No.
is from Final Space, which is where. There you go. Mooncake is from Final
Oh,
Space. So the
okay.
character's name is Avocado, like a cat, because he is a cat creature. And then he said avocado, which is still very good. I just thought.
Yeah,
this-
it's appropriate because gato is Spanish for cat. So
Right.
makes
No,
total
I got
sense.
it. I got your shirt. I wore a 90s cartoon shirt. I actually have the Soundwave, which Laserbeak is falling out of with like the tape, like when the tape gets rolled up or whatever. So do you even know what did you know Laserbeak was the name of the
No.
bird that came?
Who
Okay.
knows that, Jake? No one
people
knows
who
that
watch
except for you.
Transformers. Everybody watched Transformers. Laserbeak was probably the most popular. That and the dog.
I
Now I
love
gotta try to think of what the
Transformers.
dog was. But go to the FTN if you want to go to FTN. Check out all the bets that Meanie's doing. All the everything, honestly, like bets, prop lines, DFS, everything. Code all in, get you 20% off. And again, theathletic.com/BetsTV. All capitals on the BetsTV. Get your first free month. Hopefully you're still alive. Hopefully you care about waivers. There's something to talk about this week. Is it 2021 or 2016? With
Ooh,
seeing some of these names.
We're 2015, man. We're in 2000, solid 2015. Two names are like, what? Yeah. Yeah.
Funny enough, and I'm not being like, look at my tweet, but I was surprised. Did you see my Odell Beckham tweet, which blew up? It was just such a throwaway joke, and it's the throwaway jokes which blow up mostly because Matthew Berry. So Matthew Berry's a big thank you to that. But it was like, where did Odell Beckham have to land for him to be relevant? And I said 2016.
Yeah.
And it just went nuts. I was just like, I didn't think it was that funny, but thank you. And do please
was
smash
funny.
the like button and do give a thumbs up and subscribe and go to iTunes and do the 5 stars. Actually, if you want to do all that, here's a little hint. By the way, screenshot and save it because I have a little giveaway coming up next week. So stay tuned. Possibly. Maybe. So we'll find out. Possibly, maybe. We'll find out. How about this? Let's get into the waivers and see how much you
do
care
it.
about these, Lauren. A lot of running backs. A lot of running backs. It's that point of the season, though. You know, outside of the Derrick Henry injury, but even that left a lot of running backs that we've already talked about that situation. The first one is a confusing one because we've seen Alex Collins. We've seen Alex Collins be fine. Yeah, you see that response that you just had.
Yes.
He's been fine. He's been a low-end RB2. Rashad Penny came back. Rashad Penny's been less than fine. He's been pretty miserable. He hasn't looked very good at, exactly. We don't know if Chris Carson's coming back after their bye. As of today, no word yet.
Ooh.
Yes.
Pete Carroll did say that Chris Carson will see the field.
Okay,
Whatever that-
that's good.
whatever that means, I don't know.
What
Is
the
he
hell
gonna be
that?
on the
All right, so
sideline looking at the
that's
field?
perfect. Yeah. So now that he will see the field, I mean, I can see the field on TV.
Me
too. I can see the field before practice. I
I
don't know.
should find the exact quote here.
Let's say
Continue.
Chris Carson is there this week. Are you completely off Collins altogether? And no, I do the work because you answer the question. See? That's-
Yeah, okay, you do the work. It's on Sleeper. Anyway, I think I have to be here. It's not great. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks are like the definition of deception. You know, it's like anything that comes out of Pete Carroll's mouth, I don't want to believe. You know, like I can't get on board. I can't get on board with it with Alex Collins. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to drop him. I want to hang on to him because the neck injury that Chris Carson had, I don't know if that's just going to miraculously go away. But yeah, I
Right.
think you do have to fade Alex Collins. I mean, he wasn't really this gigantic superstar to begin with. So I don't think it's a stretch to say to fade him if Chris Carson is active and healthy.
So the quote is, "What I was told was Wednesday he will be on the field."
Ugh.
It's what he was told. So, that's...
What?
So, yeah, exactly. So, by the way, D. Eskridge is supposed to come back finally at this point, which I never even realized until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He changed his name to D. Well, I just changed the fact that he wanted to be called D instead of Dwayne with the apostrophe. Like I kept doing Dwayne Eskridge, and it wasn't. So for like the data pulls, it wasn't pulling the information. Like, why does he keep not pulling the information? And I went and looked. I was like, oh, now he's D Eskridge. When did that? I missed that. I completely missed that one. All right. Then how about another Devonta Freeman with Baltimore? This is, of course, another one. Assuming Latavius Murray is out again, because I am assuming also, Lauren, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming if Murray is out, you have some interest in Freeman. I'm assuming if Freeman is back or Murray is back, that you have no interest in the backfield at all, because that's my approach.
Yeah, this is weird. I actually do have a little bit more faith in Devonta Freeman for now. And I really like their matchup against Miami, which is one of those reasons why I'm willing to take that risk with Devonta Freeman this week for week 10. He's getting the touches, which we're not really used to seeing coming out of the Ravens, because it's always just this confusing mess of all different people, which there still kind of is, but there is a hair more clarity that we have going on. It's going to be Le'Veon Bell sniping touchdowns like for one touch into the end zone. It's going to be Lamar Jackson doing his scrambling like he always does. But Devonta Freeman has been getting a bulk of the work. Now, I don't know how long that is going to last rest of season, but I don't mind swooping in and grabbing Devonta Freeman to play him, because we have 4 teams on a bye as well, if you can get it. But I'm not taking this to the house or anything, but if you need someone to play, Devonta Freeman is getting
Freeman at this point.
He's getting the looks like we said. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, D. Eskridge, but you're going to be getting a new player here coming soon for the Seattle Seahawks. So don't hold your breath, buddy.
All right. So I'm trying to see where I can squeeze this in, because there's a question here. I don't have it in here, because what happened let's real quick. So I got to, in case anybody out there missed it on Sunday, I want to bring up a tweet that I had. Again, I mentioned it yesterday with Meany, but the process behind starting players coming back from injury. Yes. And it came down to Christian McCaffrey and David Montgomery. I was high on Christian McCaffrey. I had Christian McCaffrey at 10. I think he finished at like 14 or 15. And what my tweet was, this is the process, is if a team's bringing back an injured player, either on time immediately or even ahead, like David Montgomery, and the person in front of them was performing well. Now, I'm not saying, like Barkley. If Barkley would have came back last week instead of what's likely to be after the bye, he would be in this conversation. So I say that the guy's performing well in his place, and the replacement, is doing admirably and even better sometimes, but they bring the player back. I'm going straight back to that guy, Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery. The only reason I have David Montgomery instead of the top 15, 20 was because I don't trust Nagy, and it'd be a Monday Night Football. So I say that with this is going forward is I want to go back to the Carson thing real quick. Sees the field on Wednesday. Let's say Carson is active. Are we just plugging him right back into our lineup? Because I think that kind of holds true, even though it's Pete Carroll. But why bring him back if everybody else is performing well? And that was the entire point behind my process.
Are they performing well, though? I mean, can we really say that Alex Collins is performing? I mean, I get the whole Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery thing, of which my level of derision for Matt Nagy is approaching Adam Gase level. Like, I am so angry at Matt Nagy. I can't. Okay. I can't anymore.
Wait.
I can't.
You're like weeks behind this. I called him the new Gase at the beginning of the season. So
I understand.
You're late to the
I was
party.
trying
you can jump
to
on
give
board.
him the
There's plenty of room.
Scoot over, because I'm hopping on the train here because I can't handle it. Oh, I have Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery, and I was.
So here's the question, and that's where I wanted to go with this. Are you dropping Khalil Herbert? Because it's relative out there. I say, you're not dropping Tony Pollard, and on most weeks you don't. Maybe Pollard's a little high, but I was gonna say most weeks you don't want to start Tony Pollard, but maybe you can. Mark Ingram behind Alvin Kamara. Like, I'm not dropping Khalil Herbert just to be like, screw you, Nagy, you're right back to David Montgomery. Because what happens if David Montgomery gets hurt right after the bye in the very first game? And that's the thing, is unlike Samaje Perine, who might have to share with Chris Evans if something happens to Joe Mixon, we have now seen that if something happens to Montgomery again, Herbert is the guy.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not dropping Khalil Herbert at all. He's a safety valve for me, so no way. But I will lament that I started Khalil Herbert because Montgomery was activated early, and he only was activated, was it like Thursday? Or Sunday or something? I don't even know. What?
It was the bye is coming up. This is where the process is. Jake's Labyrinth. Yeah, exactly. This is why I tell people you don't want to get in my mind. You'd be lost, and then I pray for your soul.
I only hang out with him once a week, and trust me, it's confusing.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's what it was. Is David Montgomery could have sat out through the bye, got the extra week. So the fact that you were bringing it back was like, you know what? He is not just ready. He is ready. And that's what we saw. Again, I wish I would have had it. The only thing holding me back was Nagy. Otherwise, he would have been, like I told you, I had Christian McCaffrey at 10. The other one was
I 100% agree.
The Jeff Wilson situation.
Yep. Thank you.
So, all right, let's go back to, like I said, 2015. Carlos Hyde. Only obviously, I know, but only obviously. Actually, you know what? Let's bring two names into this conversation. Jordan Howard. I can't believe we're doing Carlos Hyde and Jordan Howard.
Right?
Are they as simple and cut and dry? I mean, I'm kind of giving you the question that I've already answered in the waiver column, and they're only temporary for as long as the lead option is out. Do you see any more value than that, I guess is the way I'll phrase it? Is Jordan Howard and Carlos Hyde, are they just, until James Robinson and Miles Sanders returns, that's it, that simple?
I do think it is. I don't trust anything that Nick Sirianni has to say. I don't care what he's fertilizing and watering or whatever the heck he's doing. Just no. But there's one constant with Miles Sanders out, and that happens to be Jordan Howard, who is, just activated off the couch. Oh, I'm sorry, the practice squad, excuse me. But they gave him the touches, and he turned it into 2 touchdowns. He got 5 more rushing attempts than he did the week before that. So he is that one constant. They're playing games with Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell, but I have no idea what's going to happen when Miles Sanders comes back. So yeah, the one constant here is going to be Jordan Howard. If you can squeeze another week out of him. Same thing with Devonta Freeman. With Carlos Hyde too, it's another one. James Robinson is still considered day to day. So these aren't guys that I'm really looking for, like when it comes to longevity. Now, it doesn't mean that I want to drop any of them, like we had mentioned earlier with Khalil Herbert. No, I don't feel comfortable enough doing that, because once you get injured, it could happen again. So I don't want to be in that position where I'm like, I don't have anyone to start. It's gross.
The same thing. Like, I'm not dropping Chuba Hubbard unless I specifically do not drop Devonta Booker. I don't care that they're headed into their bye. Barkley is assumed back. Barkley was assumed back earlier for some people. Yep. Christian McCaffrey. Everybody was ready to. Actually, a lot of people dropped Hubbard before Christian McCaffrey got put on the IR.
They clearly haven't been listening to us.
Yes. So do not drop Booker unless, this is what I keep saying. I understand Booker, Herbert, Hubbard, all these guys. If you are, you have a lot of Bears and Giants and Bengals, like maybe you have a buys and other injuries and you have to go pick up Ramondre Stevenson, who we're about to talk about, to start because, let's say, there's no Damian Harris. I get it. But I'm just saying, don't drop these guys just to drop them. So let's talk about that situation. Damian Harris banged up. Stevenson banged up. I mean, we might be looking at Brandon Bolden as the lead option in this game. But this is a very cut and dry, I think, one, too, is it's very simple. Damian Harris is active. Not that interested in Stevenson. If Damian Harris is out, Stevenson active. He's RB2? Lauren?
Yeah, I don't know. I do want to see what Ramondre Stevenson is going to do with Damian Harris on the field. So I don't know if it's nearly as cut and dry or clearly as cut and dry as that, because Ramondre Stevenson has been starting to carve out a role for himself in the offense. Granted, it's not as high ceiling as Damian Harris, especially when Damian Harris is on the field and healthy. But just like you said, we have question marks with both of these backs because they both suffered head injuries. That just always scares me when you look at their questionable tag and it's head injury. Like, just say like concussion protocol or something, because head injury just like, it scares me a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what Ramondre Stevenson can continue to do in the offense, because he's starting to prove himself. And I think that this team is going to play better when they have that 1-2 punch between the two of them.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I'm surprised. I said this coming out of college. I thought Stevenson would be barely used in the passing game. I'm surprised that he's getting as much work as he is. So another injury situation. Kenyon Drake pops, or not Kenyon Drake. Oh, look, I'm doing the old teams over here. Wow. I was putting him back on Arizona in my mind for Chase Edmonds. Holy crap.
Well, because 2016 called.
I know. That's what I'm trying to like bring myself back to 2021. Chase Edmonds high ankle sprain, so out for weeks. James Conner we talked about yesterday. That's not what we're talking about because James Conner's not the issue here. It's Eno Benjamin. How aggressive are you going to be for Eno Benjamin? Because it looks like James Conner is going to be about 70, maybe more percent of the workload, kind of in that now bell cow territory, but still being sprinkled in enough for Eno Benjamin. Would he slot ahead of, here's the other three names that I was putting, like Eno Benjamin compared to Nyheim Hines, Ty Johnson, and J.D. McKissic?
I am going to put all three of those running backs ahead of Eno Benjamin for me.
Okay.
I just believe this is
Which one's number one?
Oh, Nyheim Hines.
No, it's not. It's Ty Johnson. Go ahead.
Well, I forgot you did say Ty Johnson. I do heart Ty Johnson so much.
Did
so
you see the person that tried to?
Johnson.
Did you see the person that waited till 5 minutes left in the game and tried to troll me? It was like, "This is why we don't pay attention to Ty Johnson." And the very next play, he scored the touchdown.
Yes. Victory. I love that. Yes, the correct answer is Ty Johnson. I do agree with you there. For some reason, it's just implanted that Ty Johnson isn't even an option to consider here.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. And I like what they're doing. I like the, especially with no Marlon Mack, even though they didn't get a trade out of him, they're really not using him. So, and I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. And, but Ty Johnson, my question mark with Ty Johnson here is, what is his role going to look like with Zach Wilson back? Because so far we've had Mike White and we've had Josh Johnson. Both of them have allowed him to be successful, even with Michael Carter being very successful on the field as well. But we haven't seen that when it's Zach Wilson. So that's the only thing that worries me just a little bit about Ty Johnson, which is why I would slot Nyheim Hines just like a hair ahead, but I love both of them so
I know
much.
It was tongue in cheek. I do actually agree with you for that reason, is that Zach Wilson being back at quarterback does muddy things up. And,
it does.
People are out there like, oh, Mike White might stay the starter. Like, you do not invest that draft capital in Zach Wilson and then Wally Pip him for his. I know he's looked miserable, and I'm not a Zach Wilson fan.
You could get one more week out of Mike White.
Yeah, and if you want to claim it's injury, that's what I'm saying. Like, Zach Wilson's ready to roll. You can't do that. You can't do that to your organization. You're going to create so many problems if you let that happen. So one other problem we have is, do we trust Adrian Peterson? The only one, Adrian Peterson's not on waivers. Jerry McNichols is not on waivers, at least at the 60% threshold. But Devonta Freeman is on waivers. If you watch the game, which a lot of people did, Freeman looked arguably, again, I sit there and measure, like, go to the advanced stats and saw who had the faster miles per hour, blah, blah, explosive rate. No. If you just watch the game, Freeman looked like he had more burst than Adrian Peterson. However, Adrian Peterson got the lead role in his first game action in forever and got the goal line carries. So, despite the fact that Freeman looked more aggressive, are you going out there for Freeman just in case, or did you think that the usage for Adrian Peterson just told us what we needed to know?
There's two reasons why I'm not going after Devonta Freeman. A is exactly what you just said. They're going to be relying on Adrian Peterson here with a smattering of Devonta Freeman. And also, this was a weird game between the Rams and the Titans. And this did not really go according to plan. This did not tell me anything about what they're going to be doing.
Real quick,
with the Titans.
That is the encapsulation, if that's a word, of week 9. Did not go according to plan. That's week 9.
Yes, it was. Everything was ruined. But yeah, that was such a weird game. So the Rams are usually pretty stout on defense. They're going to be getting Von Miller coming here soon. But that was just a weird game for them. So how much did that really tell me about how well Adrian Peterson can play? Plus, this was not going to be the game script for Jeremy McNichols. How much are they going to be relying on him as the pass catching back moving forward? And then Devonta Freeman sprinkled in here. Adrian Peterson's like 85 years old. He had to get a water break. And that's kind of where I'm seeing that's what he's a cyborg. He is not a human. That's just saying. That's kind of what I saw from Devonta Freeman here. So I'm shying away from that. I'm not going after him at all, because I think the two backs that are going to be the most integral part of this are going to be Adrian Peterson and Jeremy McNichols, and it's going to be mostly Adrian Peterson.
So encapsulation is a word. It's usually used in like data management or like pulling and stuff. That's probably where it was embedded in my brain somewhere. No, here's the other thing. I chuckled because you actually used it. So cyborg is the right term. Android is incorrect, because people often will say they're not interchangeable. They're two different things. So like the cyborg is the human that's been computer, like, machinized.
I know my sci-fi. Okay.
Yeah. So so I'm glad you said it correctly. The Android is actually different. It's not the human. So you did it.
Thanks,
question
Dad.
Before we get to this entire group, 2-quarterback league, Big Ben or Heineke? He's saying my boy for Heineke. No, but it's Big Ben, because Heineke, I don't know. We don't know what's going on with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but Ryan Fitzpatrick could come back. And then if it's a 2-quarterback league, I'm not trying to grab Heineke and then go back and chase Ben. And the fact that Fitzpatrick comes back. That's really why. I don't really want Ben Roethlisberger, but at least I know he's got the job for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I had a face of disgust there real quick, because those are two horrible options. But out of the two of them, Ben Roethlisberger, I don't like it. Oh,
it's
really?
Okay. It's an okay option and then a horrible option. Do not say horrible with Heineke.
That's true. I do like Taylor Heineke. However, he is in a horrible situation right now. Let's put it that way. Is that better?
He's also way too aggressive. Way too aggressive. All right, so before we get to the worries, and for everybody out there that's been like, yes, I'm going to explain everything behind Patrick Mahomes. Bless you. Did a lot of watching some film, and there's definitely reasons behind it. So before we get to that, though, this entire group of running backs, these are kind of like, hey, they're out there, whatever. Do you have a preference? And do you have, I'll give you two questions on this, Lauren. One, is there anyone that you really like? And then there's one, like, not even in a 14-team league with H bench spots, do I care? Those are the two options you have here.
Okay.
The list is Brandon Bolden. Well, no, Brandon Bolden falls into the Patriots conversation, so throw him out. Mark Ingram, Jamal Williams, Sony Michel, Shad Penny, Jarrett Patterson, Alexander Madison, Jeff Wilson, and Devonta Freeman. As you can see, there's a very common theme among these running backs.
All right, give me Mark Ingram and give me Jeff Wilson Jr. Those are the two that I would
that you definitely want?
Yes.
You're going down the Shanahan-Wilson route?
I am. And the reason why I'm doing this is because
Zero
Kyle
touches.
Shanahan, okay, I get it. Just give the man a break. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be starting him every single week. But I do like the opportunity for Jeff Wilson, and I want to hang on to him. Will I have a problem dropping him if this trend continues? No, I won't have any problem dropping him. So that's why I'm saying Mark Ingram first. And then I'm willing to take a shot on Jeff Wilson Jr. He has a lot of, or he meaning Kyle Shanahan, does have a lot of history and loyalty to Jeff Wilson Jr. So I'm just wondering when this is all going to play out, what's going on. But again, this is one injury away to Elijah Mitchell before this all changes again. So who knows? That's why Jeff Wilson's in the same
conversation as Williams and Michelle for me.
Yeah, I don't like Michelle. Sony Michelle runs into the back of butts and tries to be Mark Sanchez.
I don't like Sony Michelle either.
No.
But I'm trying to think I don't love Alex Collins, but you know what? If Darrell Henderson gets hurt again, you're just going to have to face facts there. Anybody in that list, you just have no interest? I mean, is it Foreman? Is that the one you just do not care about at all?
No interest in Foreman. I totally get the argument for Alexander Madison. I mean, that's going to be an insurance policy. Same thing with Jarrett Patterson. Bolden is going to be one of those, like we already talked about, that has to kind of go away until we know more about the Patriots. Jamal Williams, he should be already rostered like everywhere.
I was surprised. There's a lot of people that drop Jamal. Two reasons. One, they hit their bye, but also he got injured. So people, because he was inactive for the one game, and Jefferson was the backup.
Feeding me good, taking me to dinners.
There you go.
I love that. Yeah, it's the greatest quote. Yeah, Mark Ingram for me. Mark Ingram and Jeff Wilson Jr. for me.
Mike Davis over Devonta Freeman for the question. Easy. You can drop Mike Davis if you need help, but Mike Davis falls now into this conversation of Sony Michel, Alex Collins, and all these other guys. Like, all right, you know what? Not going to love it, but if something happens to Cordell or Patterson, you know, I'm not saying it's going to. Cordell Patterson doesn't actually have like a high injury risk from his history, but if something happens this week, you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have held on to Mike Davis, unfortunately, as gross as that sounds. I mean, Wayne Gallman's inactive. Like, Wayne Gallman's barely even being used for everybody that's like, oh, Wayne Gallman's going to take over Mike Davis's role. No, it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Sad.
Nope, just
sad day.
Okay. So let's talk worries. It's worry time. It's time to hand out some ducks. I have officially, finally, after 2 weeks, well, now 3 weeks, have put Patrick Mahomes in the worry conversation. First game, hey, it's the one bad off game. Second game, it's like, all right, wasn't as bad. Give him some time. It's Patrick Mahomes. 3 games warrants a lot of watching some games and saying there has to be something going on. So what's going on? If you didn't read the article, for everybody out there, which you still can, theathletic.com/BetsTV, all capitals, first free month. This is the quick version. I don't want to spend 5 minutes going down this road, but it's something I've talked about a lot with the Ravens. So the Ravens, I said, why they're having success this year is because how do you stop wide receivers like Tyreek Hill, Marquise Brown, yada, yada, yada. You play cover 2. What does cover 2 expose you to? Cover 2 expose you to underneath and runs up the middle. Well, Lamar Jackson is so damn dangerous as a runner, you're pulling the safeties back in, and then they try to mix in some cover 1, and Marquise Brown says, ha, thank you, goodbye. Lamar Jackson, when they see the cover 2, he trusts Mark Andrews and Sammy Watkins before Bateman, and now Bateman, and his running backs out of the backfield. The problem, which I watched with these 3 games, is they're playing a lot of cover. The NFL is playing a lot of cover 2 against the Chiefs and keeping everything in front of them. The Giants did an amazing job of keeping everything in front of them. The problem is Patrick Mahomes is not taking advantage on how to beat that because he's not throwing to Pringle and Robinson and Mecole Hardman even, because he doesn't trust them. He's still forcing it to Tyreek Hill, and then he's throwing dump-offs out of the backfield, and that's why his yards per attempt and air yard, everything is down, and why it's taking 30 passes to get 150 yards, because he's still trying to force it. He doesn't trust anybody, and he doesn't run like Lamar Jackson. I know that's still kind of a long, quick version, but that's why I say this, Lauren, of Patrick Mahomes. It's not 5, it's not even 4. But it's 2.5 ducks now. I'm only giving 2.5 because I still think the Chiefs and Mahomes are better than this. But it comes down to Mahomes is going to have to start using his other wide receivers more. And they need to get open. Part of it's their problem. They're not even getting open.
Yeah, I'm at 3. I'm at 3 ducks. What was I at last week? I can't remember if I was more than you. Was I at 3?
You were, because I said we didn't even discuss them last week. We kind of just tossed it. Yeah.
I think you wanted to give it one more week. I can't remember. But I'm more on the concern side. And I want to 100% agree with you on your argument here, but I want to also add one more caveat. Not only I don't necessarily know if it's Patrick Mahomes not trusting his pass catchers. I don't think he trusts himself. And that is what gives me the most concern. His footwork isn't right. He's up on his tippy toes. He's not seeing the field correctly. Maybe he has daddy brain. I have no idea, but it doesn't look like he has any faith or confidence in himself like he did in previous seasons to make those incredible plays, to make those fun plays, those trick plays and all those things that they're trying to force now. But Mahomes doesn't have that same confidence in his arm and in his eyes and in his vision like he did before. That's why I have more concern. Mine aren't necessarily on the receivers. It's on him.
All right. Yeah, I think it's a giant combination of, again, this is Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. This is too much, but you're going to have to do something different. And I say, look, armchair quarterback sitting here. That's the definition of what we're doing. To say, this is what you do to fix it. But, again, the funny thing is I'm watching it too, and I'm watching Patrick Mahomes. He's looking. It's just he looks and then just does it. And part of it, like I said, it comes down to Robinson's not getting open. Josh Gordon is not the fix.
He's
the problem
also
is
been really intimidated. If you notice, he's been second guessing himself. So in the last game, there were
because he doesn't trust him.
He's like pump fake, but it's not pump faking. He's like I can't get it to you.
Here. I'll give you one. Go watch, if you have it out there. I'm sure somebody has it on YouTube or something. Go watch the Giants game. There's a play specifically where he's looking right. Demarcus Robinson's got his defender.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
He's got a one-on-one, and he's a beat further into the play. Robinson's about to get behind the defender. Mahomes looked over there. Mahomes could have went to Demarcus Robinson for a big play. He did not turn back over the middle and threw an incompletion that almost turned into an interception. And that's what I'm saying. He doesn't have any confidence in anybody not named Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. So that's really what it comes down to. Mahomes or Dak? I'm taking Dak going forward.
That's tough. Yeah, I think you kind of have to. And it feels blasphemous. I feel lightning is going to come down and strike me in my giant forehead.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope they fix it.
I hope I'm wrong too. And that's the thing. I hope I'm wrong because there is too much excellence on the Chiefs for this to be happening right now. But
that's the problem. As I don't think there is. I think they tried to make Mecole Hardman the second wide receiver, and people need to remember Hardman was not necessarily a panic draft pick move, but that was when Tyreek Hill might not play. And what is Hardman's skill set? He's not Tyreek Hill, but he replicates that skill set.
I was going to say he's 2.0. I mean, not the better version, but,
Yeah, so maybe he's 0.5. He's the worst version. Is that what it
I was going to say he's like mini Tyreek Hill, but he's bigger than Tyreek
He's the beta
Hill.
version.
I can't do that either. The beta, there you go. The testing version.
He's beta Hill.
MS-DOS.
There you go.
There we go.
Is that like Jonah Hill's brother? I don't know.
I like it.
Listen,
And then maybe that's his fish.
Let me ask you about another quarterback. This one I only gave one. Josh Allen. I gave him one. But I gave him one for this reason. He looked like the first 2 weeks, Josh Allen, when everybody was like, uh-oh, are we getting 2019 Josh Allen? And here's the one commonality of the first 2 weeks. Not last week because it was the Jaguars defense, but he's been destroying weak offenses. The first 2 weeks were decent defenses. And I say that to only say this is he 2020 Josh Allen? What if he's 90% 2020 Josh Allen? Some of these good defenses coming up start to limit him a little bit. I'm not saying Josh Allen is QB 9, but I said maybe Josh Allen isn't QB 1 or 2 like we thought he was.
Yeah, I can understand the argument, and I'm also just at a 1 duck for him. Losing to the Jaguars with absolutely no scoring except for field goals was disconcerting. However, there was a game last year where Tyler Bass ended up scoring all 15 points of their game where they won. I can't remember who it was that they played, and that was another game where he didn't score any touchdowns.
Band kickers.
Yeah, whatever. I like Tyler Bass. Whatever. You hush. Although I do agree, kickers are obnoxious. But well, in certain fantasy formats, I digress.
No,
but
they
yeah,
are
he
trash,
has
period.
one of these
Continue.
games almost every season, and he'll be okay. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I'm not concerned yet. I'm not concerned yet. There are a few things that have yet to come to fruition with the Bills offense, and that is Stephon Diggs is one of them. I just think that things just need to sort themselves out here, and I think they're gonna get that done this week.
Well, then let's stay with this team. Concern level for Zach Moss. Zach Moss was top 20 by a lot, including myself, mostly because I don't love Zach Moss, but because they were supposed to run away with this game. And this was supposed to be, all right, you're going to get 15 carries for Zach Moss because they're grinding out the clock and winning 38-10. So that's what we were hoping. That didn't happen. Here's the second part about it is, as I've continued to say, and why you just went on Zach Moss, is I've always felt about Zach Moss. Is
Where's
that,
your little thing?
Oh, it's right here. I mean,
There
I was just doing.
There you go. Perfect.
Wow, that was
Oh, that was
a long one.
Yeah, I've never heard it do that before.
Really doesn't like Zach Moss. But that's what it's a Josh Allen backfield, and then there's no rhyme or reason to Singletary or Moss. So I'm guessing you're up at like 4 or 5, or I guess. Is this one of the ones where if you thought Zach Moss was a thing, you're high, but because you weren't on Zach Moss, you don't care, Lauren?
Bingo. I've never cared about Zach Moss. No.
Okay.
Just no.
Then-
That's all I got.
Then did you ever care about Aaron Jones? Because Aaron Jones, I come from the other side. This is actually the second time I've included Aaron Jones. And I said I was off Aaron Jones. Everybody told me I was an Aaron Jones hater. I said I don't like Aaron Jones' workload. I would love Aaron Jones to get 20 touches a game, but he's touchdown reliant. It's even worse this year with A.J. Dillon. So if you thought Aaron Jones was going to be a locked-in top 10 running back, what would be your duck concern level?
Oh, I'm at like a 3.5, maybe possibly
Okay.
looking at that 4. That's concerning. But you shouldn't have that kind of mentality when it comes to Aaron Jones, simply because of the way that offense works. Now, with A.J. Dillon coming in, who has a completely different type of skill set than Aaron Jones, hopefully this turns into a situation where Aaron Jones can really start to excel moving forward, because they're not almost the same person. Because Jamal Williams was too much like Aaron Jones, right? They had too much of the same skill set, too much of the same identity in the offense, whereas A.J. Dillon is completely different. I saw a picture of him with Derrick Henry, and it was like I could do my laundry on their abs. It was insane. I'm like, do they have any body fat? That is not the point, but it was a great picture to look at. Just saying. Built like brick ass houses. And A.J. Dillon is one of those guys that hopefully will be able to help open up the passing game when Aaron Rodgers comes back, or should I call him Karen Rodgers? I don't know. But yeah, it's concerning if you really wanted him to be a top 5, top 10 back.
Okay, fair enough. So we want to get to some of these wide receiver waiver options. So real quick, I'll tell you, let's just give me, because you can't go read the article and you can see, because all these names are in there. Who gets the most ducks for you? 5 wide receivers. Who gets the most?
Out of worry,
Mike?
right? Or
Yes.
okay.
Who has the most worry? Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, Cortland Sutton, and Jarvis Landry.
Oh, Mike Williams.
Really?
Yeah.
Let me throw something at you that Chris Meany mentioned to me yesterday and see if I can get you to change your answer.
Okay.
In the 3 games Sutton and Judy have played together, Sutton has never finished higher than wide receiver 6D. 6-0.
I get it. 3 games. That's not a big enough sample size for me.
I know. But Tim
I don't like
Patrick's
it.
not going away.
I love Tim Patrick. I think this needs to sort itself out here. I'm not as worried about Cortland Sutton. He's too good. I'm not that concerned about Cortland Sutton as I am about Mike Williams. But you know what? I changed my mind. The person who gets the most ducks out of all those guys is actually DJ Moore.
Is it?
Yes, it's DJ Moore.
Because of Sam Darnold?
He needs to go. It's time. It's time, my friend. I'm sorry.
Remember when everybody was celebrating Sam Darnold in week 4? Remember that?
I was one of those people that was like, yes, you're out from underneath Adam Gase. You have a chance to show what you can do. And then he did so well. And then now sucks. And it's like, okay, we can't keep blaming the deficiencies of Sam Darnold on Adam Gase.
I'm trying to get my smile bigger because I want to say, I told you.
Oh,
Nobody wanted to.
You know what? I told you that it was likely going to be Trevor Siemian and not Taysom Hill, and look who was right. I didn't do an I told you so on that one. Oh, yes, I did.
Because nobody was really that upset about that one. Like, okay, I lost a streamer. Nobody was banking their
I told
season.
so many people to pick him up and start him as like a bona fide QB1, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, waivers. Giants are on bye, but could all be healthy coming back. They're all under 60% somehow still, I guess, because nobody knows what way to go with this. Coming out of the bye, how would you say they're all healthy? Just rank the 3. Obviously, Slayton's the 4. Rank the 3 coming out of the bye for you.
Ooh, I'm gonna go. Like, what do you mean by rank? Like PPR? Are we talking upside or like
half?
who
Everything
like?
default for now and for all eternity in the future, forever. Half point PPR is default.
Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay.
Okay, I would have Shepard, Galladay, Toney, but
Yeah. I mean, literally, I can flip a coin between those two. I just think Kadarius Toney is the younger, more explosive wide receiver out of that. I don't know how much I trust Kenny Galladay staying healthy, so that's why I'm going to put him down.
Corey, I already answered the question. The best spot for Odell to land, and it blew up on Twitter when I said 2016. So there you go.
It's still really good.
You know what? I will say this. I know everybody's looking at the Saints and the Seahawks. As much as crazy as it would sound, I would prefer the Saints for volume than I would the Seahawks, because the Seahawks, he's going to be their slot option. He's going to be behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and it just I prefer the volume, the lesser quarterback by far, by miles and miles and miles. But I would just prefer the volume there. But we'll find out. We'll get it today, potentially find out today, and we'll have to do it tomorrow on the ranking show.
I would have loved to see him go to the Raiders, personally.
Well, we're going to talk about the Raiders here in a second, so hold that thought. Rashad Bateman. How seriously should we be taking Rashad Bateman at this point? Because he's still 3rd behind Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews, but he has been, for being a Ravens wide receiver, remarkably consistent since he's shown up.
I like it. I think you should be serious about Rashad Bateman because he's also seeing the targets. I like it a lot. And likely, Marquise Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews are unavailable in your leagues, whereas Bateman is a piece that you can grab. I like it. I think he's done
Rashad
really well,
Bateman
especially
versus the Giants.
Yes.
All of them?
No. I would have Sterling Shepard over. I had to think about it for a second because I really, 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 really like Rashad Bateman. But for a little bit more consistency, I might go Sterling Shepard. I do like Kadarius Toney, but when I'm looking at who the quarterback is and who's going to be helping them or actually making the plays for them, Daniel Jones or Lamar Jackson. Give me Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman.
And on top of that, do you know who finished 11th in team target percentage for week 10 or week 9?
Who?
Kyle Rudolph, everybody.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I can't. And Evan Ingram, why?
No. And Evan Ingram got his share too. The point was Kadarius Toney and Kenny Galladay were the 2 wide receivers, and the game plan was Booker and tight ends and Daniel Jones. So as I always say, Danny and the Clapper ruining everything. Let's talk about Kyle Shanahan. Despite what everybody wants, I don't know how many times I have to say this, Lauren. I said it to Chris yesterday. No matter how much we want to sit here and say Shanahan's got us again, that's often true in the backfield when there's multiple options. But Shanahan, when telling us something and sticking to something, has legitimately stuck to what he's told us. He had said for weeks that Sermon was not the guy, and we saw that happen. He only had to use him the 1 week. We said for weeks Brandon Ayuk was not back to being Brandon Ayuk, and he finally has been. So are we taking Shanahan the word that he was waiting for Ayuk to look like Ayuk, and now that he has for 2 straight weeks, he's back into Shanahan's and our good graces?
I would say, yes, you can believe Kyle Shanahan on that. However, I still think that his upside is going to be capped as long as Deebo Samuel and George Kittle are on the field. So I don't know if we're necessarily going to see as much explosiveness as we may have expected because of what we saw last year, forgetting that George Kittle and Deebo Samuel missed time. So yeah, I'm happy about this because I really like Deebo Samuel, and I'm happy to see him. Oh, is he out?
No, was out, for everybody that might have forgotten from last year.
Yes, he was out. George Kittle missed how many weeks? Was it like 6 weeks or something? I can't remember. Anyway, they missed time last season. Really, that gave Brandon Ayuk the chance to step up to the plate and really prove himself. And that's kind of difficult to do when you have 2 excellent pass catchers on the field with you competing for those touches right now in George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. So I don't know how lofty his ceiling is going to be. I think he could have great weeks. But yeah, I think we can have some faith that Brandon Ayuk is back. He's a very, very talented wide receiver.
I'm laughing at the comment that said, "Thank God that Shanahan waited to utilize Ayuk now that they're 3-5." Also behind, I like the Bateman to Keenan Allen comparison by Brian Martinez. I wanted to go back to this 49ers situation. Is the thought that Trey Lance could happen any given week now that as they get further out of the playoff hunt also a concern in your mind?
Not really. It's not really a concern. I think they're still going to have to rely on their playmakers, and Brandon Ayuk is one of them. Now, does it bring down the already capped upside? Maybe slightly. But I think that Trey Lance has seen enough, and he has been watching enough to see what works and what he needs to do in this offense, and that's relying on those guys. So I'm not that concerned.
All right. So speaking of relying on guys, the Colts, when T.Y. Hilton barely has been reliable and relying on when he's been on the field, but he should play this week. T.Y. Hilton in that one game, 4 for 80, and was seeing a lot more when on the field of the attention of Carson Wentz than Michael Pittman was. And I'll say that to be concerned about Michael Pittman. He wasn't even in the concern conversation. I'm just saying, if T.Y. Hilton is back this week because he's still under 60% because he's been hurt, is T.Y. Hilton back into your good graces in wide receiver 4 territory?
Wide receiver 4 territory, yes. Must start, no. If you are desperate and you need someone to play, he has some excellent upside. Just like you said, he had 80 yards on 4 touches or 4 catches. Like, that's crazy.
You know who they get this week too, right?
Who are they playing?
Jacksonville at home.
Oh, geez, Louise. Watch, if this turns into another like Bills situation, we need to really start having a serious conversation about the Jaguars defense.
There's no way.
I think for upside, for example, whenever we have like Thursday games or whatever, whenever an analyst or someone you're asking advice from says, put in some high upside players, we're talking about T.Y. Hilton, guys like T.Y. Hilton that can give you a huge game, but can also be extremely risky and bust. And I think that's where he really falls in for me. So if I need a home run hit, not someone that I can just rely on for a safe floor, I would throw in someone like T.Y. Hilton.
Well, there you go. In that game, the question just being asked, Hilton or Agnew for floor. Agnew's the floor. Hilton's the boomer bust. Yep. And Agnew continues to be disrespected. And let's talk about Jamal Agnew. Not a great game, because that entire game, I mean, and you're facing the Bills defense, but they're not. They're facing the Colts defense this week. And guess who is still behind Agnew? Laviska Shenault. Jamal Agnew, like Ty Johnson, is a thing. I'm not excited about it.
I am.
I mean, well, no, because here's why. I don't get that excited about a floor wide receiver 4. That's what I'm saying. Like, yes, he's the safer of the wide receiver 4s, but he's still a wide receiver 4.
That's true. I'm excited about it, though, because once you start hearing...
Just because it's fun?
It's funny. He's a great name. Once you start hearing commentators and people really start getting on the bandwagon, if you will, about seeing young talent, I really like what Jamal Agnew can bring to the table. And I think he's going to be one of those players that is going to be a steal next season. So I'm very excited to continue to see his development because I think he might be a really solid sleeper for 2022.
We'll have to see. He's also not that young. I mean, he's been around for...
Yeah, he's been around for... Didn't he play for the Lions
3 or
for
4
quite some
years?
time?
Yeah, I mean, he was a defensive back. The thing I'm trying to think. Like the guy who called one of the first games Tyler Haneke came in is like, man, that kid can make some throws. I'm like, the kid's been around for 10 years. Like, understand, like he was in the XFL for a while too. Like,
yes, he was.
Not a kid. So OBJ replaced by DPJ. And a big game, but very much also a game not expected. There was barely any throwing on the side of the Cleveland Browns, and Jarvis Landry completely left out in that game because he didn't throw much. But all it takes for Donovan Peoples-Jones is 2 catches to have a big day and a touchdown with no Odell Beckham. And the fact that Peoples-Jones looks to has now locked down that number 2 spot ahead of Higgins and anybody else. Do you have interest in Peoples-Jones?
Absolutely. For the same reason I'm talking about T.Y. Hilton, he is my upside play.
Wide receiver 4?
Yeah, I think he could fall into the wide receiver 3 category for me, but we're not talking about that much of a difference here. So Baker Mayfield, without having to force feed OBJ, he is looking for Peoples-Jones to make big plays. And that is really where their passing game falls because their solid volume is going to be in the run game. That is what's going to get them first downs. But when they need to score, when they need to stretch the field, it's Donovan Peoples-Jones that he looks for. And his catch percentage is fantastic. So yeah, I like him.
I do like Donovan Peoples-Jones too. I would keep him in the wide receiver 4, but it's, again, as you said, it's not that big of a difference between the two.
It's not, yeah.
Let's talk the Raiders finally. So, yes, it's similar. going forward, as a reminder, the Giants defense, they're actually not only what they did against the Chiefs in general, they keep everything in front of them. That's why Waller had a good day. That's why if you look at Hunter Renfrow, great play against him. And I had Hunter Renfrow ahead of Bryan Edwards.
Me too.
Even though I had Bryan Edwards inside my top 40. Completely wrong on that. I did not expect him to get goose-egged. I didn't expect him to have a huge day, but definitely expected more than a 0.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm going with this, Lauren. I am not dropping Bryan Edwards yet. I do think the Deshaun Jackson addition is both concerning and potentially positive, and here's why. Because like his rookie season, Bryan Edwards is not equipped stylistically, skillfully, whatever you want to say, to be a true number one, have all the defensive attention just draped on him. And we just saw that with the Giants. You put Bradbury on him, goodbye, see you for the entire game. You can take him away with a corner that's good. And I know Bradbury didn't spend the entire time on Edwards, just point being. So I say this, Deshaun Jackson's not just going to open things up, but also stretch the field, which lets Bryan Edwards run some more ins and digs and outs and stuff like that. So I think Deshaun Jackson could actually help Edwards. That being said, I would still add Deshaun Jackson because there is a world where it's Hunter Renfrow and Deshaun Jackson and Edwards is just completely left out.
Agreed. That was going to be mine. I like the idea of what it could do for Bryan Edwards, but for me, I'm going Deshaun Jackson. He is one of the guys. So
today you're taking Deshaun Jackson over Edwards going forward?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yes.
Would Deshaun Jackson be in that same T.Y. Hill conversation for you?
Exactly. The same kind of really, really high reward, but very high risk type of player. You're playing him when you really need a home run hit, when you are in the basement and you need a huge runaway game, not just some safety and solid floor. It's going to be Deshaun Jackson. Even despite his age, he is so fast and he is so good. And he is filling in a void that is needed in the Raiders organization. They suffered last week. You can tell that they need somebody that's going to be a speedster to stretch the field.
And that's why I think he steps into the Ruggs role, which could help Edwards because Edwards was benefiting from Ruggs being out there that final 2 games. And so, again.
Yeah, if I'm going to go for safety on either of those wide receivers, I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow. I'm not going to.
I mean, Hunter Renfrow is the obvious, but we're looking for the upside. So, all right, before we get out of here, speaking of upside, 5 wide receivers to throw at you, differing scenarios. Curtis Samuel, maybe he finally plays again. Actually, just plays, period, because just make it through a week, plural. Plus, that's not plural. Week is 1. Going forward for Curtis, they need a number 2, clearly. Van Jefferson, Michael Gallup are number 3s, but upside teams, upside passing games, and upside number 3s. And then Nico Collins and Mac Hollins, to get the Allens in here, are number 2s on disappointing teams and passing games. So of these 5, where does Lauren's interest lie?
Okay, well, Van Jefferson is going to be one of those that I like. We just got done talking about Deshaun Jackson. He left the Rams, and Van Jefferson has stepped into that role quite well. And Matthew Stafford is looking for him in addition. Yeah. Correct. My bad. Took it away from Deshaun Jackson. You're absolutely correct. But yeah, so I like Van Jefferson there as in that same category that we're talking the high upside plays here. But don't discount Michael Gallup. I really want to see what he's going to be able to do with Dak. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying in general. Come on now. Don't be so salty. So anyway, Michael Gallup. I like Michael Gallup a lot. Those 2 are completely different skill sets, in my opinion. High upside, one of them. I think possibly a sneaky safety play is going to be Michael Gallup that I like very much, especially what's going on with CeeDee Lamb. Is he still banged up?
Lamb? No, yeah. I mean, he played in the game, but not 100%. Sort of. But it's another week. I mean, if they risked him, great? So.
But yeah, Van Jefferson and Michael Gallup out of those. The other ones, no. Stop it with the Hollins and the Collins. No, don't do it. Same thing with Curtis Samuel. No. Collins, you got to do is just not do it.
No Phil Collins?
I love Phil Collins.
Oh, okay. Well, with that,
fabulous.
Hopefully you guys love Lauren. Follow her at StepMomLauren, StepMomLauren.com. The FTN code is all in to get 20% off. TheAthletic.com/BetsTV, all capitals, to get a first free month. And we'll be back tomorrow with Jeff to talk Week 10 rankings. It is officially the double digits. And as of today, Sean Payton is not benching Simeon, but he is not declaring who the starter will be for Week 10. Enjoy that misery all the way up to game time this week. We'll see you guys tomorrow.